examples of Russian interference in the midterm elections?
Well, I can't speak to anything that I've seen as a member of the Gang of Four or Gang of Eight, as the case may, as the briefing may be. But I do know that the intelligence community in the public domain put forth their assessment that the Russians did attempt to disrupt our elections, and that they would do it, and as NSA Director Rogers said, plan to do it again. The that was like 3 questions. Okay, well, I'll take the other one as a 1. It's up to you all. I mean, we can have a conversation here if it's okay with you. None of these bills has to be part of the omnibus. I mean, we could go to the floor and do a gun violence prevention bill. There's also, in terms of Dreamers, we have the HURD bill. We could go to the floor and do the HURD bill, or as I've suggested over and over again to the speaker, bring anything to the floor you want. Bring HURD, bring Goodlet, bring Goodlat, bring any other bill you want, and let Queen of the Hill prevail. It doesn't have to be on the omnibus bill. But the omnibus bill has other problems in it. For example, even if the Dreamers never existed, in the Homeland Security piece in that subcommittee, there's suggested language that we could never live with, even if Dreamers never existed. So the bill may have problems in other respects, whether it's women's right to choose, defunding Planned Parenthood. You know, there's maybe when we meet next week, some of these will have gone away. Let's hope. But for the moment, we have a lot of work to do to iron these out. As an appropriator, 2 cultures that I was forged in here, one intelligence, one appropriations. I know that the appropriators, left to their own devices, Democrats and Republicans working together, can come to resolution. It's the poison pills that rain down from on high or up from on low, however you want to characterize that, that cause the problems, and that's some of what we have to deal with. However, on Homeland Security, it's a debate about the funding for specific things. That's not a poison pill. That's a funding debate.
Is that the beds?
That's part of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Since you talked about the midterms,
Yeah.
security, there's a number of Democratic candidates kind of flooding the zone here. Certainly that's the story in California. The party's somewhat divided on who to support in Illinois in certain races. Do you see that? Is that division going to backfire in some way on Democrats because there's some who want to take the party further to the left, and that actually could backfire, where maybe that helps the Republicans squeak through different districts because the Democrats are not completely unified?
Welcome to the Democratic Party. It is the most exhilarating thrill to be a leader in a party that has that kind of diversity of opinion. Creative tension, Jerry Brown once called it, and it is it's what we're used to. It's our strength. We're not a rubber stamp, and that's just the way that we will never be a rubber stamp. And so elections, about campaigns, about people putting forth who they are, what their purpose is in running for office, what they know about that subject, and so that their judgment is respected, how they think in a strategic way to have success in moving forward on those issues, and how they connect with the American people. It isn't about some of the things that you talked about, inter-party, and it's a dynamic, but it certainly can work to our advantage. So I don't see it as an obstacle now. Yes?
Representative Ruben Kuhn has signaled that he's interested in revisiting his decision not to run again, and he has a week to make a decision to file, and I just wanted to get your reaction to that.
Well, when he makes a decision, I'll give you a reaction to it. Yes, ma'am.
I need to ask you about something that's been increasingly in the headlines this week. The legal arrangement between the president's personal lawyer and an adult film star that the president really have a relationship with has raised all kinds of questions in the last few days about what the president, his involvement in and what he knows about this legal wrangling back and forth. Is there a role for Congress to get involved in this matter?
Let me just say that I'm more concerned about the president's policies which undermine the financial security of America's working families. For example, his budget, cutting Medicare, cutting Medicaid, cutting Social Security, disability benefits, cutting housing and urban development, cutting food stamps, cutting education. That's what Congress should get involved with, is to say, you're the President of the United States, you've put forth a budget that is not a statement of our national values about what is important to us as a nation. So I don't know that we necessarily have to get involved in any of that. You can be sure if any of that were happening with the Democrats, the Republicans would be very involved in it. But our time should be spent making the future better for the American people and creating good paying jobs, reducing cost, whether it's prescription drug cost or any other cost that they have that we can impact, so that they have more confidence, consumer confidence, that they can make more than make ends meet. We should be talking about a budget and the rest that is about not survival, success, but transformation, that many more people see their place in the future with an economy that works for everyone and not be worried about whatever category you want to place the president's, the rumors about the president's personal life. Yes, sir. And then I'll come back to you.
Madam Leader, do you see any significant differences between the banking reform bill the Senate's considering and the Dodd-Frank rewrite passed by the House last year?
Well, let me just say this, and I'm going to spend some time on this, maybe even a magic minute, I don't know, but it shouldn't take that long. What the Republicans are doing to Dodd-Frank should be a cause for alarm for everyone across our country, because it affects people directly in terms of being a consumer and being a taxpayer and having protections in those categories. What I will tell my colleagues on the floor is how we got here where we were in 2008 in the first place, how Dodd-Frank was a remedy to that. A compromise, an open hearing was a remedy to that. And now how the Republicans want to take us right back to where we were in 2008. So I think that what the good intentions of one bill or another for a narrow correction, which I may or may not agree with, but nonetheless narrow, that want to be exploded by the big banks, is so wrong. But the more the public knows about it, the better. And by the way, very consistent with this whole idea of we're here for the 1%, for corporate America, for Wall Street. We're not here for the American people, the consumer, the middle class. And this is an important debate for us to have. Again, some of these bills have everything we do is they're open to suggestion. Do you have a way to make this better, to address some of the concerns that have been expressed? We're always open to that. But to do so in a way that completely unravels Dodd-Frank is completely wrong. And using the excuse that they're a custody bank, or if you know more about this subject, I don't want to go into the details.
What do you think of the change in the asset threshold?
I think it's dangerously high. I think it's dangerously high. I think it can be increased, but I think it's dangerously high. But you know, let's have that discussion. That's only one part of it. There are other pieces of it that are about redlining. Again, the advantage of the banks at the disadvantage of people who want to own homes and mortgage and have mortgages. The issues that relate to what is a custody bank. Again, we can have that discussion, but it would take a long time. We'll see what they pass. But the public has to know, because again, they're taking us right back. The brazenness of it is, you have to give them credit for being brazen. And we'll just see how it goes. Because again, there's some features that you might say, how do we help community banks? How do we help raise that number? I think that number could be raised. I think it goes pretty high in that bill. But that isn't its only problem with me. You know, maybe that we could have a discussion of. Some of the other things are real deal breakers. Yes, ma'am.
Last question. You immediately called on Congressman to resign when the first allegation
Let's see what he decides to do, okay? I didn't mean to be rude in my response, but I don't want to speculate on something that may or may not happen. Okay? Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.